Hello everyone, I chose to research conformity and conversation orientation, and to use the movie The Fast and the Furious as an example. Yes, the original, not the other 8 sequels. All I could find for who created theory was in Askin Corner and a Christian Ice who worked for the University of Minnesota and wrote an article about it. Firstly, I would like to talk about the conformity and conversation orientation, what it essentially is. This theory essentially relates to social communication interactions within families and describes different techniques used and how they affect the relationships within families. Conversations and conformity both have their own set of factors to explain. With conversation orientations, they have high conversation. This is where family members communicate freely and frequently about activities, thoughts, and feelings. This factor leads to all members of the family being actively participating in conversations. Second, we have low conversation. This is where family members do not interact as often. Conversation topics are usually more restricted. As you can imagine, this leads to a less talkative family. Next, we have conformity factors. Conformity is essentially how family communication climate encourages agreement regarding certain beliefs, values, and behaviors. First, we have high conformity. This is described as holding more of a uniformity within the family. Parents often decide guidelines that families should conform to. Second, we have low conformity. This is being described as encouraging diversity among the members of their beliefs, including their beliefs, attitudes, values, behaviors, and allowing them to expand their own individuality. To add more to this theory, they use 4 different family types that are defined by the conversation conformity traits. These include consensual, pluralistic, protective, and laissez-faire families. To help illustrate these, I will be using references from the Fast and the Furious movie. For those of you who have never seen it, the movie follows the life of an undercover officer, Brian, aka Paul Walker, who goes deep into the illegal street racing community in order to find a group of criminals stealing semi-trucks, all the while using blacked out, fast cars. To begin, a consensual family, they include both a high in conformity and conversation. For an example, in The Fast and the Furious, the main character Dom is characterized as the leader of the group. They treat him as if he runs the family. Dom allows his group to communicate freely, but when it comes to how his group handles certain situations, he does not allow them to move freely without his direct input. Second, we have pluralistic families. This is related to having high conversation orientation and having a low conformity. This could be used to explain the relationship that Brian, the undercover cop, Paul Walker, has between Dom and his group at the beginning of the movie. He is introduced to Dom's group without any real direction needed to be followed. Third, we have a protective family. This is defined as being low in conversation, high in conformity. This trait, children are usually expected to be obedient to their parents and do not value open communication. For example, in The Fast and the Furious, around the middle of the movie, Dom has formally accepted Brian into his crew, and as such, Dom expects Brian to follow his direction, not diverge from his ideals. Lastly, we have laissez-faire family. This being best described as, having a low conversation and conformity orientations as well, free to do as you wish. This can be described by the ending of the movie. Brian finally comes clean about being an officer, and they don't really like that, so they kick him out. And at the end, he saves the life of one of the group members, pull him off a semi-truck, and he even goes ahead and gives Dom a ride so he can get away from the cops at the end. So Dom pretty much forgives him and accepts him back into the group, but he still lets him go on and do whatever he was doing, and he doesn't have to follow the group anymore, so he's on his own path still. I hope I was fully able to demonstrate the differences between the conformity and conversation orientations, all the while talking about an awesome movie that I hope everybody's seen. If not, check it out. Also, rest in peace, Paul Walker. You're awesome. Thank you guys.